everyone, and welcome back to the Gold Mine. I'm Sam Goldfarb. I'm here with lead football consultant Miguel Donato. Miguel, how we doing today?
Doing good, doing good.
We're going to talk a little bit about the FA Cup final. Miguel's a Liverpool fan. I'm a Chelsea fan, so I was not pleased with the result. But it is what it is.
It is what it
Miguel,
is.
just general reactions to the game. What are you thinking?
I mean, I was pretty neutral towards the game. I Both defenses were pretty weak, so coming into it, I expected a lot more goals. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It wasn't nothing too crazy happened. Just kind of an unfortunate result of both teams just not getting to do what they plan to do throughout most
Yeah,
of it.
that's for sure. And speaking of attacks fading, that segues me perfectly into Chelsea. Obviously, scored early. Pulisic had a nice link up with Giroud and then finished it off. And honestly, whenever he touched the ball, he looked like he looked like he was destined to at
Yeah,
least get into
yeah.
the box. But he gets hurt right after halftime. Heroic effort trying to score after he pulls his, what I presume is a pull hammy. And then the attack just faded. And Miguel, I want to get your take on that.
I mean, it's pretty clear. Obviously, they got Werner coming in, maybe Ziyech, maybe some more players. But at the moment, I mean, I feel like it's pretty clear that he was the best player out there, at least in their front three. And yeah, it definitely showed that the team was a completely different thing when he was on the field than when he wasn't. So
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I was talking to Noah Baker, our other football fan in the house, Brighton fan, and I was saying he's not Hazard. I think the
no,
comparisons are
no,
unfair.
they're very different players.
Yeah, exactly. But he has a similar effect when he's not on the field, especially recently. Um, when he's on the field and on his game, he has he can take it over when he wants and he can create for himself or his teammates, especially himself. I think he's actually better at creating his own shot at his age than Hazard was at a
Yeah,
comparable age. But when he's off the field, it's very similar to what Chelsea was without Hazard last season when Hazard was not playing. Very methodical ball movement, nothing incisive, nobody getting on the end of crosses again. Giroud kind of went back to his normal pre-restart self, and I don't know. The attack didn't look promising for
yeah,
me, and I hope Ziyech and Werner, as a Chelsea fan, will reinforce that, and maybe Kai Havertz will come in and add another dimension because we can't
for
be
sure.
so over reliant on one player.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are talented players. I mean, Tommy William had a decent season. Giroud had a decent restart. It's definitely more of just Pulisic kind of just bringing an extra factor. You know what I mean? Kind of like a different type of play to what the other players could do. If that makes any sense. Just
Oh yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think when he was on his game this year, Chelsea's attack was at its best. And yesterday, for the first 45 minutes, he looked pretty good. But then after that, things weren't as promising.
yeah,
So we can just segue now to the Kovacic red card. Anthony
that was
Taylor
questionable.
got a lot of flack for his reffing. It wasn't just the
Understandable.
red. The second, for context, Kovacic picked up a yellow for a bad challenge. Probably deserved the yellow, but then got another yellow for talking crap to the ref. And honestly, I don't think Anthony
Questionable.
Taylor made a bad call to give him a yellow, but it was kind of borderline. So giving him a second yellow when you're down 1-0 in a crucial game kind of frustrated me at least. And then there's other things Taylor was not great with. Clear handball on Emiliano Martinez they didn't call. So I'm curious to see your take on that, how that affected the game for you in your eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it definitely did. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know that the red card came right. It came very close to Pulisic being subbed off, so it was just like a double moral hit, I guess. It kind of just you could tell that Chelsea just didn't have the same energy after that point on.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it
I
was
feel
right
like
after the goal.
it was right after the goal. So I feel like definitely, I think it was a wrong call, and I think it was pretty impactful to the result of the game. So
Yeah, I mean, I
unfortunately,
agree with you. I tweeted something along the lines of yeah, Taylor's crap, and definitely affected the game, but we also can't fully blame him. I think Chelsea,
yeah,
as a Chelsea fan, I'm pretty good at remaining relatively unbiased when it comes to analyzing our performances. And I thought once Pulisic left and once we conceded the goal, we
Yeah.
looked pretty much, we didn't look incisive at all. We didn't create anything. Um, and so I'm not going to fully blame Taylor. I think he didn't help, and I think he definitely had an effect, but I don't know if Chelsea would have scored even with 11 men the way they were playing.
I think so. I think the game was very close at that point. Not because both teams were doing great, kind of the opposite. Both teams were kind of equally kind of frustrated in a way no one really could, other than again then like Pulisic and maybe Alba every now and again. Um, but yeah, the game in a way like it seemed a little. I think it was pretty significant. I think it kind of did decide to an extent kind of the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you never know. Arsenal, as a Chelsea fan, I know Arsenal is famed for screwing up, especially in big games. So, and obviously that maybe doesn't apply as much to the recent big games they played, the Liverpool City and Chelsea wins. But I mean, we know how Arsenal functions when it's a big top six clash. Usually, I mean, there's a reason why they didn't finish top seven in the league in the Premier League. There's my bias creeping in, but Arsenal really was garbage for most of the year. And I think that who knows, maybe they would have let it slip. You never know how Chelsea would have played with 11. Kovacic was one of the more consistent players on the field that day. But again, I'm not going to say Chelsea absolutely would have scored because again, the way they were playing was kind of garbage.
For sure.
And you brought up Alba. I actually want to go back to that. Aubameyang 2 goals in the win. The penalty, which was obviously a clear penalty, and then finished it off nicely. Put Zuma on skates and then slotted it past
That was
William
a rough
Caballero.
goal.
Yeah, so
That was a rough goal.
Yeah, Miguel. What do you think about Alba's performance? Do you think he stays at Arsenal after this?
I mean, I think Arsenal need him to stay. I don't know if he will. I haven't really heard any other teams making offers. I think he's a little too old, I feel, at this point to make any big transfers, to be honest. I feel like it'll be the case he just, like, ends up staying there just because there's no other big enough offers for him, especially with, like, COVID. I don't know if any team has the money to afford Aubameyang at this point.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, he was, like, again, like the same way Pulisic was clearly the best player for Chelsea, he was, I think, pretty clearly the best player for Arsenal. I mean, he scored both goals. He's always kind of like the decisive piece in their attack. So I don't think the game was any different.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Lacazette was actually pretty MIA. I mean, I wasn't locked in on Lacazette and his movement and stuff, but it was clear Aubameyang was the centerpiece of that attack, like you said. And honestly, for most of the first half, I mean, it's not like Arsenal really even was that incisive attacking wise. So, like, I felt like Aubameyang was the clear creator for that team. I want to say that Antonio Rudiger's defending on that second goal was atrocious. He overcommitted to try to intercept, got him out of position, and it forced Zuma to stretch.
Zuma out of position. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, look, part of that's Chelsea center backs, but Alba with an incredible move and a great finish. And, I mean, you got to credit him. Big goal and secured the victory for Arsenal. Now, his cup holding form, not great.
Yeah, that's not ideal. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, leave it to Arsenal to drop the FA Cup. But
yeah, I mean, they haven't held any trophy in a minute, so
yeah, true. They were so excited it just spilled out.
Yeah.
And actually, back along Arsenal, we're talking about their future now. Obviously, a lot of good pieces: Saka, Nketiah, excuse me. Goalkeeping situation is kind of rocky, but if they keep Aubameyang and keep Lacazette, it's still a promising attack. Maybe if they can even keep Ceballos. So I want to get your take. Do you see Arsenal climbing up the table? How far do you see them climbing up?
I think, I mean, to an extent, I feel like they're in a similar position to Chelsea, except they have a little less talent, I think. But I feel like it's the same situation. They have a very good attacking part of the team, but both defenses need a lot of reinforcement. I mean, Arsenal's defenders, like David Luiz, he's not good anymore.
Played a game after the Brighton performance is appalling.
Yeah, and the fact that none of his partners or subs are any better or too good compared to other big six teams. So I feel like if they find the right pieces, especially center backs, I think they got a shot at least making top four. but yeah, I mean, it's a good, promising-ish future if they can get the right pieces. I guess there's potential, but they gotta like exploit it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I personally don't see them finishing above sixth or fifth or sixth next year. Just because of the sheer talent at the top of the table. I think Chelsea, Liverpool, and City are virtual. I don't want to say
First,
locks, but
second,
I think
third,
they're in good
pretty much.
position
Yeah.
for top four. I think Man United's probably going to get in there as well. I just don't see Arsenal getting enough points to beat any of those four out. Um, but I think that if they buy a good defender to improve their goalkeeping situation a little, like I don't know what Leno's deal, how long Leno's going to be out into next season, or if he's the guy they want to keep going there. But it'll be interesting.
For sure.
And then we also talked about Chelsea's defense. That's the final item on our agenda here today. I talked about Rudiger and how terrible he was on that second goal. As P obviously gets hurt in the game, I hope he's all right. But he committed the penalty right before that, or committed the foul leading to a penalty. Very uncharacteristic of him. And then there's question marks around Christensen and even Zuma. Zuma got better throughout the year, but at the beginning of this season, Miguel knows for a fact I was on Zuma's. Like I was not putting up with Kurt Zuma.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like a lot of the second goal was also in Reece James. That man was nowhere to be seen, and basically the winger he was supposed to at least keep tabs on was just pretty much open.
Yeah.
So the fullback situation isn't too good, especially because other than Aspi, there's no real super crazy talented fullbacks, at least
I
not
actually
on the same level.
I will say I like Reece James's promise. I think the man's 19 years old, 20 years old.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
But
he's not there yet.
He was way too far up the field and just did not track back at all. And I think that's a mistake he's going to have to learn from. Do I think Chelsea's going to prioritize right wing back or right back as their transfer priority because of that? No, I think if anything they'll go for left back because Alonso is older and still prone to those same mistakes. But you bring up an interesting point. I mean, they're looking at Ben Chilwell, and then for some reason there's nobody in the center back conversation for Chelsea, nobody in the goalkeeping conversation for Chelsea, which just mind boggles me. Miguel and I've joked about this. Our club record signing is maybe the worst signing we've ever made. And so it'll be interesting. Like, will they actually, now that they've spent a lot of money on attackers and the attack is good enough, will Lampard start to beef up that defense? Because honestly, I don't think either of the three center backs are trustworthy. I think Alonso's shaky at best, and I think that Kepa is a disgrace to the club at the moment.
He's not good. Yeah.
And we'll just see who they target. I mean, Miguel, do you have any immediate ideas in mind? I don't know if I do, honestly, because I've heard nothing in Google right now.
No. There's good center backs around, but I don't know if Chelsea are linked up with any of them. So Yunju maybe from Leicester. Yeah. I don't think he'll be cheap or for sale, to be honest. But yeah, I haven't heard too many transfers.
Yeah, I heard Dean Henderson for goalkeeper, but it sounds like Man United's going to go for Dean Henderson and just keep him. There's talk about De Gea leaving. I mean, who knows? Maybe Chelsea tries to get their hands on De Gea because his price will be cheaper. But it'll be an interesting point. The whole back line needs some work. Honestly, I think the only solid pieces right now are Aspi for sure, and I don't think Rudiger is going to get displaced despite the poor performances. Just given the sheer amount of money they spent on him. But yeah, it's interesting for sure. And on that note, we have anything else to add about the game, or do you think we've covered the gist of this FA Cup final?
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it. Just an unfortunate game for Chelsea, I guess.
Yeah, very unfortunate for us Blues fans. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in to the Goldmine YouTube channel. Subscribe for more content. Follow us on Twitter at the Goldmine Walt. We have more followers on Twitter than we do YouTube subscribers, so that imbalance needs to get fixed. But yeah, thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.